Hi, this is Talgrim. You are watching my 8th Warrior PVP video for Rift. In this video, I discuss the key changes per patch 1.1 to the Riftblade spec. There were two abilities that were significantly changed. One was Rift Surge. Rift Surge had its cooldown increased from 10 seconds to 30 seconds. The ability is now cleansable, and its damage scaling has been slightly reduced. The second ability that was changed was Flamespear, which now has a cooldown. It was supposed to go live with a 4-second cooldown, but it's been implemented as 6 seconds currently. I did get confirmation from Sweet, a Trion employee on the Warrior forums, that it was supposed to be implemented as 4 seconds, so hopefully that'll get fixed. Here I get rooted. I go ahead and use Rift Walk to close the gap back to this cleric. And right here I make a mistake. I should use Rift Storm to keep these players from capping the flag, but I'm really focused on this cleric, and it's totally my bad. So I'm going to have to make up for it by helping to kill off these players. And we did start off short-handed at Codex. Thankfully some other players rode up. This is a Pug Codex Warfront. I'm at level 42, so I'm kind of at toward the bottom end of the level bracket. So I come up to this healer, immediately use Face Slam for the interrupt, and we continue to apply pressure and burn him down. You can see here I'm trying to cap the flag, but I've got a pet beating on me, so I'll go ahead and switch back and help burn down the remaining players. And now that Flamespear has a cooldown, I have had to switch up one of my macros. So one of my spam macros, I actually switched to have it cast both Flamespear or Shield Throw, which is the Paladin ranged ability at the end. And you can see I'm more aggressively using my spears than I used to. So Wind Spear for the silence, which I've always cast early, and then Stone Spear for the root. Here you can see I'm going underneath this cliff to break line of sight, and I'm spamming the drink button. So the second I come out of combat, I go ahead and drink up. It's a really good idea to keep at least a full stack of food and drink whenever you go into battlegrounds for this reason. So aside from those two key changes, there aren't a lot of key changes to the Riftblade spec. You can see here we had managed to cap Codex, but it's being assaulted now by Guardians, and they outnumber us here. There are only a couple Defiant players. So I come down here, I get this rogue to really, really low health. He gets a clutch burst heal there. And then I manage to burn him down here. I am snared, but I get the kill there with a fiery burst tick. And then I use, here I'm rooted, so I go ahead and use Rift Walk to remove the CC effects. And then I strafe Line of Kite out of line of sight. And right now I'm just going to beat up on this pet. I'm hoping to draw one of the players over here, and you can see the dots on the minimap. Other Defiant players are starting to come to this node, so we've got some strength in numbers. And I start aggressively attacking this caster who had come around chasing me. And I'm just picking him apart right now. I already used the silence, I used the root. I had freeze armor on him for both the snare effect as well as the debuff that increases the fire damage taken. And then we steamroll the remaining Guardian players at this node. So one thing is always, when you're fighting clerics, make sure not to give up inside position on these cliffs, otherwise they can punch you off. That actually, it's happened to me a few times here and there when I'm not careful. And then one other trick here is when I'm riding down to avoid falling damage, I face toward the cliff so that I can help kind of ride down the cliff and you won't take any falling damage. Go ahead and open up here with Wind Spear from range, get a nice crit for 401, so the caster silence. I go ahead and close with Rift Walk, and he must use some sort of big cooldown there because he gives himself a full heal. And I keep in mind while I'm fighting here is that I've still got my Touch of Life, my Paladin full heal on a 10-minute cooldown, still available. So I can kind of use that as my ace in the hole for how aggressively I can push. And right there I go ahead and use Shield Charge to close the gap to my opponent and burn them down. So I've got two gap closers. One is Rift Walk, and the other one is the Paladin ability Shield Charge, both really nice, and thankfully both of them have fairly short cooldowns, so most of the time I can positionally take advantage of wherever I need to be. So here I'm getting shelled hard. I go ahead and use my full heal, and I'm watching my health bar. I'm not getting any incoming heals. I'm trying to pressure this healer. As soon as Wind Spear's up, I go ahead and use Wind Spear for the silence right here, but I know I can't go any further in because as far as I know there is no one who's going to heal me, and the res wave's coming up. So I go ahead and strafe out of line of sight here, beat up on the pet a little bit. Now I'm just biding my time, and here's a good example of strafe kiting here. If you're strafe kiting properly, you should be able to do what I just did to that pet, which is strafe away, maintain your forward facing while still attacking, and flip side to side so you can see both sides of the map. It's really important. There have been requests on my blog and my videos for my hotkeys and also for my key movement setup. So I am going to make a video that talks specifically about those things, and really that video will be not just for warriors or melee DPS, but will be applicable for range DPS as well. You know, I have played, if you've watched my other videos across games, you know, some games I played healers or I played range DPS. You know, kiting is a really fundamentally important thing. So I go ahead and kite away, and as I was kiting back over those 10 seconds, I blocked about 700 points of damage, and because I was maintaining my forward facing as I was strafe kiting away, I was able to mitigate a lot of incoming damage, and that's part of the value of using a shield. You know, obviously if I'm using a shield, not a big two-hander, my damage is going to be lower than what it might be, but you know, the big gain is that, right there I just used the face slam for the silence. You know, the big gain I get by packing a shield is I get some nice reactives from the Paladin tree, some nice interrupts, and then, you know, more importantly, I increase my survivability. So I do finish at level 42 tops in this battleground with 12 killing blows, and I beat the next closest. I outdamage the next closest person by 50%, 60k to 90k. Here's a cute clip, 1v2 against 2 rogues. So I stun this rogue from range, get the fiery burst dot running, use freeze armor to increase the damage taken by that player, hit him with a wind spear to prevent any kind of casting, switch targets. And you'll see the second player here is an archer, either a marksman or a ranger spec rogue, and he's having a little bit of trouble keeping me in front of him line of sight, which is why I do the circle strafing business. You can see my health is barely going down because he can't target me, but I go ahead and burn him down. So that's my take of patch 1.1. You can read the blog article attached to this video for more information.